Gentlemen, welcome to another educational lecture on the Longevity Strength Coaches YouTube channel. My name is Paul Green, and my promise to you in this video, I am going to simplify the whole strength training world by explaining how you can train your joints in order to reduce joint pain, improve joint strength, and improve the resilience of those joints to limit reoccurring injuries. The plan for the video is I'm going to talk about the main joints of the body, what they do, how you can use that information to rethink the way you think about the gym and all the complexities, the hundreds of different machines, hundreds of different sessions you can do, rest periods and stuff like that, how you can just completely cut through all the crap and simplify it all for yourself in order for you to, again, reduce that joint pain, improve the strength of your joints, resilience, and start building some athleticism. I'm going to give you a free workout from my program as well, which I give to one of the guys currently on my fundamentals block. But before I get into this, I'm just going to back out of the lecture for 1 second, and I'm going to open up my friend Grok 2. Which is the most injured joint in the body? I asked it, and I expected it to be the knee, and it was the knee. The most commonly injured joint in the body tends to be the knee. This is due to several factors. The complexity of the knee. So I don't think the knee is a very complex joint. It extends and it flexes. Basically, it goes straight and it bends. It's not very complex. Weight bearing, obviously, is a lot of impact. You know, we have to walk on our legs. We have to bend the knees regularly, walking up and down stairs, running, stopping, starting. So yeah, of course, wear and tear could be, it's probably the main reason. But my main issue is that people aren't training their knees properly. However, for example, if you work, a 9 to 5, you're a tradesman, you're a builder, you're a plumber, you're an electrician, your knees are going to be put through a lot of demands. And yes, it's going to add up over decades. It's going to add some wear and tear to this area of the body, but it can be trained. Movement, the knee allows for significant range of motion. That's what I'm saying. It extends and it bends. Also provides ample opportunity for injury through twisting. Not many twisting injuries, let's be honest. And sports, running, jumping, changes in direction, and all that good stuff. But when it says complexity, I don't believe the knee is a very complex joint. The knee is similar to the elbow. It moves in two directions. It might move slightly left and right. It might twist slightly. But the role of the ligaments and tendons are to reduce any undue movement within that joint. It basically moves two ways. It's not very complicated at all. And people need to stop saying stuff like this because then they are scared to train it. Right, anyway, let's get back into this. So just go back a sec. Main joints of the body, what they do, rethink the gym, rethink your exercise selection with this new mindset shift. Free workout from my program, send you on your merry way. And hopefully, light bulb moment. If that sounds alright, strap yourselves in. And basically, my background, I used to be a paratrooper and I used to be in the Special Forces Sport Group, and I was a physical training instructor in them elite units. Trained many people, and like Grok 2 just said, the demands in which you place on your body have an adverse effect on your joints, in particular your knees. I've seen many people with these issues, and instead of just training them to be really fast, really strong with weight on their back, it's important that we actually build some strength in their joints, the key joints, which are getting absolutely hammered when they are doing what needs to be done in this world. So when I said to myself, can I train the joints? Instead of thinking about, 205, 206 muscles in the body and training each muscle, can I just simplify that and just train the joints? And the answer is yes. And when I started doing this, people were coming up to me. My elbow's not hurting anymore. My knee's not hurting anymore. It's just because I simplified it. And I wasn't shy in really putting people's joints through their paces. Now, the whole medical world and the whole strength and conditioning world, well, I say whole, no. People that are switched on don't avoid these areas. Anyway, This revolutionised the way I train others. And now this brings me on to the longevity program, which is a strength and conditioning program, fully online. I'm just going to tap, tap, tap. My internet's not very fast at the moment. And I train men over the age of 40, predominantly. This program was designed for men over the age of 40. However, men that are younger than the age of 40 do tend to jump on sometimes because they are having issues with their bodies. In particular, I don't know, to be honest, at the moment, I've got I've got two people on at the moment with knee issues. And the law of averages, you would think that most people would have knee issues, but it's not always the case. Anyway, I'm not afraid to work with people with, joint soreness, joint issues. It's just basic stuff to get them. Everybody's start point is at a different point. Anyway, so with this in mind, my program is split up into 3 blocks, and the first block is where we really focus on the joints and building joint strength, fundamental joint strength, 12-week block. And it's the boring block, but it's the most important. So that's my program, that's me. And now we talk about the main joints of the body. Now, if you're thinking about training in the gym, everybody's like, oh, well, what should I do? What exercise should I do? You've got people in the strength world that train for, to look better in the mirror, to look better for holidays and stuff like that. But you want to train to improve the strength of your joints, so then your knees are not hurting, your elbows are not hurting. You can continue to play with your kids and play football and run up and down sand dunes without pain. You can get out of bed without feeling like you're being hit by a bus. You can continue your hobbies for decades to come. With all of that in mind, and all the complexities and all the different machines and all the different rest periods, supersets, and all the different jargon that goes on in the fitness world, simplify it. What are the main joints of the body? The knee, the elbow, the hip, the shoulder, the spine. Like we have just touched on, the knee is the common area of concern with people. It is my belief the knee is the common area of concern is because people typically do not put the knee regularly through its full range of motion. Now, what I mean by full range of motion is if you have your elbow joint, which is very similar to your knee, that is the straightening of my elbow joint. The elbow and the knee joint are both hinge joints, and that is me putting the elbow joint through its full range of motion. Everything we do in the gym is to achieve, one way or another, putting our joints through a full range of motion. So we've got the knee, the elbow, the hip, shoulder, spine. Before I go on, I'm just going to bring to life some misconceptions that you've probably heard regarding the joints. So, misconception number 1, you cannot train your joints. Now, people are under the impression that tendons and ligaments cannot ever get stronger. And if your joints are sore, you should not train them. Now, let me tell you, if your joint is sore, that is a good thing. That means that joint has a good amount of blood flow and it has nutrients going to that area to repair that area of concern. So pain, joint pain, is not good. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. It's when you have limitations that don't have much pain, that is when there is an area of concern, because that means there's a limitation in blood flow. And if there's a limitation in blood flow, there's certain ligaments in the body that have limitations in blood flow, which take longer to get stronger. That rhymed. How cool am I? But what I'm saying is, if you have a sore joint, be happy that it's sore, because that means if you train it, it's going to get stronger faster. Another one, I could literally go into depth so much about this. I'm going to try and rattle through this lecture as fast as possible. Get yous on your way, get out the door and put this into practice. As you get older, you should avoid risk. This is a very slippery slope. If that's the attitude you want to have, that is a very, very slippery slope. As we get older, the term getting older, what the fuck? Usually that's the term for getting more lazy, retirement, bollocks, absolute bollocks. When we get to about the age of 40, our type 2B muscle fibers start to slowly decline. And they are responsible for strength, power and speed. How many of you over the age of 40 are training your strength, power and speed? And what I mean by that is this video is specifically talking about your joints. It is absolutely important. It's so important that you continue to train these areas, because if you don't train these areas, you will lose them. If you continue to live your life without training these areas for a full range of motion and through a ridiculous amount of intensity, obviously with proper programming, I can help you with that. If you are interested, just jump on the links on my channel and I can sort it all out for you. We shouldn't avoid this risk, because everybody has a start point, right? And I'm not saying that you're going to go and do some crazy stuff in the gym on day one, but you are going to establish your start point on day one. And incrementally, you're going to improve your range of motion, improve your strength. And then your joints are going to eventually get a hell of a lot stronger. A lot less pain. It's honestly, it's just so simple. However, there is, the biggest misconception is as you get older, you should avoid it. No. Obviously, as you get older and you become more lazy, joint pain is rife within your body. Elbows, knees, lower back. And you say to yourself, this is because you're getting older. No, it's not because you're getting older, it's because you're getting fucking lazier. Another one, neutral spine. Your spine moves left, right, forward, back. It extends, it flexes, and it moves left and right, and it rotates. If we are only having neutral spine because we are shit scared of exiting this safe realm, then what happens when we pick something off the floor or we sneeze and we pull our back? If we don't explore the ranges of motion available to us, we're not going to get strong in these areas, and it's going to cause us issues when we do find ourselves out of neutral spine. Right, knee and elbow, they're very similar, so think of them as the same. They both bend and they both straighten. The technical terminology for this, flexion, is bend and extension is straighten. Do I go on to some videos here? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I'm going to straight into an exercise in which works the knee joint through its full range of motion. Now, the complexities of a gym, you've got 50 different machines. What the hell do they all do? Just simplify it. Look. So, exercises are going to work the joints through different... they're going to put different angles of stress through the joints. So you can see here, I'm doing one of my favourite exercises for strengthening the knee. And you're getting full bend of the knee. And you're getting straightening of the knee as well. So this exercise is one exercise which I would use to strengthen the knee. Because I'm not bothered about strengthening the mobility of my ankle. Or I'm not bothered about my lower back. My priority with this exercise is full range of motion of the knee joint. And safely being able to put resistance through it. Like another one. Getting a little bit funky here, but never mind. Now this is me working my elbow joint at a full range of motion. So everything you do in the gym, if you zoom in, like I'm talking, be really specific with your training, like I do on the fundamentals block, 12 weeks, you can find yourself, what other exercises? Base, keep it simple. So all these exercises are training specific joints, and they're going to strengthen your joints, they're going to reduce pain. And you want to find movements in which really push your joints through a full range of motion. So again, knees. I'm training my knees here. Some people would say this exercise is training their quads, but I'm using it as a means to train the strength of my knees, get rid of my patellar tendon issues and stuff like that. Hey, up, I went absolutely massive. Let's go back. You get the idea. So do not avoid, go back to this, going to the gym and actively try and strength train your joints. If you do that, you will massively reduce your pain, you will improve the strength of your joints, and then eventually, when you get a bit more adventurous, you'll improve your resilience and you'll improve your athleticism. The problem is, a lot of exercise, like let's say if I said to you before you started watching this video, what is the best exercise for your knees? You'd probably think, squats. But then you've got to put yourself in a scenario where, can you actually squat all the way down and get full knee flexion, like I just did on that video? Probably not. So 9 till 5, you're working as a builder, a plumber, and you're not really doing anything with full knee flexion. And then you go to the gym, when you go to the gym after work, and you don't have the flexibility to go all the way down on a squat. So you have to put measures in place, for example, raise your heels or do it on a Smith machine that takes ankle mobility out of the equation to allow you to go all the way down. Do you know what I mean? So your priority should be full range of motion. And it doesn't matter what things you put in place in order to get full range of motion of the specific joint in which you are training. Right, this is a very text-heavy slide. Just bear with me on this, right? You've got the hip and the shoulder. Again, very similar. So pair these two together. Hip, shoulder. They both flex, they both extend, they both go out, they both come in, and they both rotate both ways. The only difference is, with the shoulder, your shoulder blades move up, down, out, and then in. I'm not going to talk about the intricacies, but all I'm going to say is the shoulder is the most freely movable joint in the body. You can train each one of these. Of course, they're all crazy words, but I tell you what, when I treat this, flexion, extension, abduction means move it out, adduction means move it back in, internal rotation means move it, rotate in, external rotation means move it out. If I explain it in this way, it is 10 times more simple than me explaining to work your rotator cuff group muscles, you need to do something regarding your supraspinatus muscle. Do you know what I mean? Forget about the muscles that you're training. Think about the functions of the joint in which you are training. Right, these two are complicated beasts, right? And if somebody came to me on the longevity program telling me about a complex issue with their shoulder or their hip, then I may signpost them in a different direction to see an expert in these joints. I'm very comfortable with the hip and the elbow, the knee and the elbow. However, with some issues of the shoulder and the hip, I tend to turn into a signpost because there's a lot better knowledge and expertise out there to help with these issues. However, I still can provide some free advice. So if you fancy that, take me up on that offer. So we appreciate the shoulder and then hip is a beast, right? The spine. People don't train the spine because they are shit scared of lower back pain, soreness. Nobody does this. People say neutral spine. Doctors say neutral spine. Manual handling says neutral spine. You cannot lift a cup off the floor without having a perfectly straight back. Who does that? Everybody should train their spine through flexion, which is basically tensing your abdominal muscles and causing the dreaded rounded of the spine. Extension, which is the opposite of that, which is you using your back muscles to do their job. There's no wonder lower back pain is absolutely so common because nobody trains their spine muscles or the muscles that surround the spine. Lateral flexion, where you move your spine side to side and then rotation. Who does this? Nobody. So obviously you're going to have issues with your lower back. You don't use it, you will lose it. It's not rocket science. It really isn't, honestly. So, the complexities of this video, right? There's probably a few new terms thrown at you during this video and a few text-heavy slides. But I tell you what, in the sense of about 15 slides in this video, you have just simplified and funneled down absolutely everything you know about the gym into, hey up, let me go back. Into these 3 slides. You're either training your knee, your elbow, your hip or your shoulder, or your spine. When you're training your abs, you're training your spine. Because that's what the abdominals do. They flex the spine. When you're doing a sit-up, you're flexing your spine. Knee and elbow, all they do is 2 things. Grok 2 says, this is a very complicated joint. It's not a very complicated joint. You've got 4 ligaments and tendons. Actually, no, you've got about 4 or 5 on each of these joints. Not very complicated. It's honestly piss easy. This one, yeah, the shoulder's complicated. Of course it is. But when you break it down to a movement, it's either everything you do in the gym is either one of these movements or one of these movements. So, yeah, cool story, bro. But how do you then bring that information back into your life? Well, this is what I aim to do. And if I can't do that, then I'm a frigging fool. And please leave a comment in the comment section below if you don't understand what I'm saying. If this is too complicated, then I need to go back to the drawing board and make this as simple as possible for you, because I've not done my job. My aim of this video is to make sure all of this information is as simple as possible. Right. Your action plan. Think about your joints. As you're sitting here now on YouTube with a frigging smile on your face like this crazy caffeinated lunatic is gobbing off about joint strength when you're sat there with pain-riddled knees, you need to find out which joints are causing you the most drama at the moment, and you need to find out how much range of motion you have in these joints and how much strength you have in these joints. Pretty straightforward, isn't it? Whether that be your elbow, whether that be your knee. So then you just need to Google, and you need to find an exercise. I'll give you one for free. I'll obviously give you this free workout as well, which I prescribe to one of my guys on the Fundamentals block of the longevity program. However, a good one for knee, right, is, you know what? I'm going to give you it. Hey, get the fuck back there, you lunatic. Right, back to YouTube. I think it's called wall sit, chair sit. This may seem like the most simple thing ever, right? But I'm displaying here that I have the ability to hold my own body weight with a 90-degree knee bend at the knee. Of course, like I showed on the exercise previously, your knee has the ability to go all the way down. However, do you have the strength to go all the way down? And then you can go single leg to show that you have the strength to hold more of your body weight with a 90-degree knee bend. If you can do this, you can do a squat to 90 degrees. You have the strength to do a squat to 90 degrees. But then the question remains, do you have the ankle mobility to put your knees through a full range of motion through the squatting movement? Now, I don't care about your ankle mobility. I don't care about your hip mobility. If you're training your knees, train your knees. Worry about this shit later on. All this boring stuff, right? And, I don't know, heels elevated back squat. So again, I don't care. Like, this is what I practice, what I preach. Like, I want to strengthen my knees, and you should too. So look, I'm on a heel. I've got heels elevated, back squat. Someone was on the Smith machine. Why isn't it letting me play? So I'm going, look, I'm all the way down. It's not because I'm really strong. Yeah, I have tight ankles, but most people do. But just because you have tight ankles and maybe tight hips doesn't mean you can't train your knees through a full range of motion. Honestly, the typical gym bro mentality of doing deadlifts, doing squats, if you are not doing full range of motion, you are not training your joints. You are missing out on the surrounding muscles. When I'm at this bottom position, it requires the parts of my quad that surround the knee joint. It requires them to work. If I don't go all the way down, they're still half asleep. If they're half asleep, most of my gym sessions, then how are they going to get strong? How are they going to serve me when I'm, playing around with my kids or playing sport or doing my hobbies? They're not going to serve me. So it's important that when we're in a gym, in a safe environment, we give ourselves a great opportunity to build resilience. I'm not going to go back on YouTube now. I've explained YouTube enough. Back here, example workout. Anyway, this is another massive one. If you're new to the gym, right, and let's say you're getting on 40, 50, 60-year-old, I've got like half the guys on my program at the moment are 50-year-old and over, right? And it's crucial that they start to train, obviously with better spelling than this, at a high intensity. There is a thing that there's just a thing, right, where the older you get, the less intense you train. What the fuck is all that about? Honestly, it's absolute shambolic. It should not be the case. You should train very intensely because you're doing things properly, or you're learning, or you have the aspiration of perfect technique. Nobody's technique is perfect. The word perfect is subjective to whoever is the subject matter expert. But you should aspire to have really good technique. This is so important when you're strength training your joints, the tempo in which you do every single repetition. When you have your joint strength at the forefront of your goals, the tempo in which I personally believe you should be aspiring to do every single rep at, you should be doing 3 seconds on the way down a squat. 1, 2, 3. You should have a 1 second pause at the end of that bottom position, and then 1 second back to the top. Every single repetition should be very well controlled. You should bank the flexibility at that bottom position for 1 second pause and then 1 second back to the top. I was just about to go back onto YouTube, but I'm not going to. You see my movements, they're all slow. And because they're slow, it allows my joints just to absorb that pressure that I'm putting them on under very well. If I was going fast, bang, 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 you've all done it before. Ego-filled gym sessions where you're doing bench press and you're just slamming weights about with no concern in the world for any of this. You're making your joints worse. You're basically like a bull in a china shop. This requires real thought, real discipline. When you're in the gym, to train at this high intensity requires this. Especially when you're over 40, you're over 50, you're over 60. You need to have good techers, good tempo, and with that, the intensity will be fully, you will benefit fully from the intensity. Trust me. Right. Let's go to one of my workouts. Who am I going to go to? Let's go to this one here. Right. So just have in mind what I've been saying. You can train your joints. And this is a lower body session, right? He's got upper body, lower body, upper body too. And core. He's got a lower back issue. Core is in. I want to train his core to rid himself of the low back issue. Then I progress into the resilience of his lower back, which means I'm going to start testing his lower back. So core is an important part of that puzzle. So with this in mind, knees being the priority of my lower body sessions that I prescribe, because knees are an area of concern. Unless the joint in which you have dramas with is not your knees, then you will see a knee range of motion. You will see a knee focus. Hopefully you understand what I'm saying. So we've got the leg extension machine, which I've already touched on earlier on. To start with as well. Again, I don't care about ego. I don't care about deadlifts. Deadlifts and your numbers and your previous strength levels are completely irrelevant when you're doing all this stuff. Not many people have trained with this tempo, with this level of techers, at this intensity. So the numbers in which you previously lift in the gym completely go out the window when you're trying to train this type of this way. Obviously, we've touched on that video. Your Smith machine back squat, leg press machine. Again, leg press machine it takes a little bit out of the range of motion at the knee joint, but what it brings in place of that is a good amount of hip flexion. So your knees come right up to your chest, and what that requires for you to get out of that pocket is glutes need to actually do some graft, which is absolutely awesome. You've got your RDL. I don't know why the videos are not working. And we've got Bulgarian split squat, and we've just got a little gentle bit of athleticism, which is a burpee step up there. But what you can appreciate from this is that it's very knee focused. I want to strengthen the knees, I want to strengthen the quads, I want to strengthen the hamstrings. So we've got these exercises which work the knee through a full range of motion, focusing on the quads, full range of motion, focusing on the hamstrings, full range of motion, focusing on the quads and the hips, the knees and the hips, full range of motion of the hips, a little bit of knee range of motion, probably about 90 degrees on a leg press machine. We've got the RDL, which is a stiff leg deadlift variation where we work the hamstring at its lengthened position and the knee is in it like close to full extension. We've got a Bulgarian split squat, which is rear leg elevated. It allows us to get into a really good position with the knees and the hips. It allows us to get in a hip extension while we're working our knees as well on the front leg. So it's good for flexibility and it's good for front leg strength. And then we've got the burpee step up. I'm going to wrap up, gentlemen. I just really hope that this approach just helps you be a bit more laser focused in your approach. Because I see too many people avoiding, training areas that are weak. The weaker areas should be a priority, especially if there's pain.